So today I will start slightly differently with respect to the other meetings that we had. So we are in HyDraw and I will make a demonstration of HyDraw features. And as always, I start with my hydrometric template. But instead of making my first diagrams here, I will just show you a new application that is called NetSkeme.com. You can just sign up, and frequently in organization you have people that are very skilled with CAD application and salespeople or other that just draw in a piece of paper. So basically, NetSkeme is a very easy to use a tool to make hydraulic diagrams. You don't need to install anything in your machine. You just sign up, select your preferences, and I work in Imperial, in Metric, sorry. So you start with a title block, and on the left, you can load the library symbol, which is very similar to what we have in HyDraw CAD. And we can search. So if you know where the symbol is located, you can just go into the folder and find the symbols and drag and drop in the drawing. Or you can search for model codes like 4WE6J, Parker directional control valve, Rexroth directional control valve. So I just put it here. And maybe I just need to copy and paste. Or I may need HIDAC RP10A. And maybe a counterbalance CBCH. We can just do some small operation like flip vertical, move symbols, do connection line from one symbol to another. And do things like that. We can apply properties to our component like edit. This is maybe SCB, CH, LCN, Sun Hydraulics. And description is a counterbalance valve. And we can create a part list of the component directly in a browser. The file format is DWG. You can switch off grid. And now I'm going to start my diagram from here in HyDraw CAD. So basically what we make here is a diagram that is using ISO 1219 symbols, the same exact symbols that we have in the desktop version of HyDraw CAD. And this is easier to use than HyDraw CAD. Honestly, my preference always goes to HyDraw CAD because I am more a CAD user, a powerful a power user, what we call normally power user. So I like to be very more productive with the HyDraw CAD environment. But this can be an interesting answer to light need for making diagrams. So basically, I'm now downloading a DWG file. And for today, I stop talking about NetSkeme. It will ask me to save this file. Let's say that is my file. It's a webinar. If you're interested in NetSkeme, you just go to netskeme.com and you can sign up and you have 30 days free trial. Okay, so now we go back to our drawing environment. And a quick description, I see there are new people attending, so they may not be familiar with the interface. So basically, HyDraw CAD is a software for making hydraulic diagrams developed around an AutoCAD OEM engine. As a standard AutoCAD software, we have a ribbon menu on top with a lot of different tabs. Drafting, insert, annotate, and so on are the standard AutoCAD tabs. The dedicated tabs for circuit are circuit, system, symbols, and services. On the left, we load the symbol library just by clicking symbol. And on the right, we load the property manager. So what we had seen in NetSkeme was that a similar library structure as we see here on the left. The library is divided into components, external ports, and subsystems. And you will see that I will use a bit of subsystem in my system. It is possible to search for symbols just by typing a search criteria. And now I'm using an English library. We have also an Italian library, and it is possible to localize libraries if you need different languages. So check %screw will allow me to find just the simple, easiest check valve screwing cartridge symbol, which we can double click and place in the drawing. But I made a diagram with NetSkeme, so let me open it and start building my diagram with those entities that I put in NetSkeme. So I just open. HyDraw CAD is saving native DWG file, so you can open DWG, DXF, and so on. I will just open my download and take the NetSkeme drawing. As you can see, this is my drawing. So I had put some model data information for this component. And as you see here, I have selected the counterbalance valve, and I can see the attributes that I have selected. In addition, in HyDraw CAD, we have several more attributes linked to each component type. So in this case, the counterbalance valve will have pressure, cracking pressure, setting, and so on, while a directional control valve may have different attributes, or a check valve has different attributes. If we type in a cracking pressure, the cracking pressure will be displayed in the drawing. We can control the balloon style just by changing the balloon style. Now I want to bring in my diagram, so really we can just do the copy and paste and hold my environment here. I want to make my diagram here, so let me delete and let me clean up the drawing. So let's say that I want to build a small power unit diagram. This will be a part of control of manifold controlling the oil distribution and oil flow in our system. I need a power unit. So reservoir, pump, motor pump, adapter. We can always build from scratch everything. So we could just search for a pump symbol, fixed, single, and place the symbol in the drawing. Then we go for the coupling set. As you see, I just type in a search criteria, and HyDraw CAD will filter just the folders that include the symbol that I need, and so on. But and electric motor. Of course, when you've done this once, it makes sense to store items in a subsystem. And I already have a subsystem. And I already have a subsystem in my library, which is in this. And I have built some subsystem like this motor pump assembly, identical to the one that I was trying to make. And you can just double click and place the subsystem in the drawing. So this makes things easier to start a new diagram. But in this case, I want to use a slightly different one. And this one, which is already a small power unit with a pump and air breather, shut-off valve, reservoir, and so on. And I just place it in my drawing. Sorry. Okay. So as you can see, this is slightly different. This symbol of a reservoir is something that probably you have never seen in HyDraw CAD. And here I'm speaking to HyDraw CAD user attending this webinar. So I have these small arrows. I know that frequently customers are asking how can we make a dynamic symbol or like a reservoir that can change shape, and maybe this will be a topic for another webinar. So in this case, I just can adjust the size of my reservoir. Of course, the symbol is always a reservoir, and I can put a model code. Let's say reservoir 1, and the manufacturer is Parker. Any item have the possibility to have attributes like model code, family, part number, description, and so on. We can also search for available components in the local database or online in our online database called fluidpowertools.com. So basically now I have this shut-off valve symbol, but let me take the check valve. And I can go into my select from library. And here we have two possible choices. So when a symbol is already in a drawing, we can select the symbol, use this small command here to search. And now we have two choices, corporate database or fluidpowertools.com. I'm using a library that has no data, so I don't have any corporate database in my system. So I will just search online for fluidpowertools.com. We have several manufacturers. So let's say that today I want to stay with the Parker valve. And I want just a check valve that is at least 40 liters per minute, and I can just search. Now the search is going online in fluidpowertools.com database, and we can sort by model code, by rated flow, and so on. If we see this icon, we can open a datasheet. And as you can see here, we have the technical documentation for the component. If this is the component that we need in our diagram, we can just select it and click OK. Now, as you can see on the right, all the information are applied to the property manager on the right. We can move symbol. Let's say that the symbol is going to be here. And we have this directional control valve. Again, we could do the same as we did for the check valve. So selecting the component and searching in the library. But I want to show you a different approach here. So let's say that you know exactly the molecule that you want, and you don't have the symbol yet in the library. So we have the possibility to search by molecule. So to search molecule, we need to maximize the search option. So as you see, there is this arrow that we click, and we go to the search in the corporate database or in the fluidpowertools.com database. If you already know the model code, let's say I need a D1VW%004 Parker directional control valve NG6. We click search, and now HyDraw CAD is finding exactly the symbol. If we have a symbol selected in the drawing, we have the possibility also to use this item replace symbol. So replace symbol, we can just drag and drop the symbol in the drawing, and that will replace the symbol with a new one. And for instance, for this one, we want to change a spool. Maybe in this case, we want a Bosch Rexroth 4WE6H. And this is, I was just looking for the Bosch Rexroth, but I want the Parker valve. So I want to, for this symbol, to show link the models. And I want to find Parker only. And now I realize that the spool is D1VW002. That's the spool number. So I take my valve, again, replace a symbol, drag and drop. So these options of replacing symbol is very handy if you need to change maybe diagrams that you already made and you want just to replace part of symbols. The advantage here is that the item ID will stay as it was in the original symbol. If you bring in a new symbol, it will take a different item ID. And in this case, as I have two identical valves in the diagram, they get 4.1 and 4.2 because we want at the end to have a quantity 2 in the part list. Let me undo and let me clean up the drawing. Let's try to make some connection lines. So let me delete those so I make new connection lines. To make connection lines, we use this part of HyDraw CAD. We can make a pressure connection line. Well, let me first switch on the auto connect. Auto connect is a way of making connection lines. When you click, it will stay selected. That means that we click to start a connection line, and we just need to select the start point and end point. We press enter to repeat the last command, and we do again a connection here, and again here, here. If you don't like where the connection is positioned, you can use the stretch command, and you can take the connection line and enter. So you can take a horizontal or vertical segment and use a stretch. If you wanted to align symbol ports, there is a smart command that makes things very easy. It is called symbol ports. You select the port that you want to move, let's say the P port. Then you select the other port that you want to align with, and you select the way of alignment. So that's how we want to align. Again, I want to use a stretch and position it here. My counterbalance valve, I want to move them here, and the PO check here. Let me move this valve slightly to the right. Let me make again connection line, working connection from 2 to A and from 2 to B, and 3 and 3 to here. We can change connection type. Select a connection line, and on the right, top right, we can select a different type. Let's say a control connection line. Same here, we want to select a control connection line. We go back to the library. So if you click, we don't want to search for components. We go back to the search for symbol, and we search for a cylinder. Double acting, and we place the symbol here. We want also to search for an hydraulic motor, vane and gear. When you place a symbol, if you look at the command line, you have the possibility already to rotate and flip while doing the insertion. So now I want to R for rotate and R for rotate right. If you don't need these items in a part list, you can select and exclude from part list. And yes, so the balloon will disappear. These items are there just as a graphical representation of components in the system, but they will not be listed in a part list. We go back and make our connection lines. I just keep pressing enter. When you run a command and you want to repeat, this is the standard AutoCAD behavior. You press enter, and HyDraw will repeat the last command. Again, here when you run stretch and you want to stretch again, you don't need to always go and click on the command. You press enter, and the last command will be available. Let me make some room here. I use AutoCAD stretch. So I want to bring this down a bit. F8 if you want to just move horizontally or vertically, or you find the snap down here, ortho mode on or off. So F8 is okay. And let's say that these items belong to a manifold. So to define a manifold, we click envelope and draw a rectangle that is crossing connection line. This is transforming breaking connection line into external ports. And let me move this up. Let me also stretch this line up. As you see, all the ports will follow the envelope lines. If you forget to put some connection lines, or you can always add external ports later on. So external ports are available second tab in the Library Explorer. We can define a port name, let's say tank. We can have different symbols. If you see only two symbols here, you can just enable the symbols going into the HyDraw options, external ports, and you can enable the kind of external port symbols that you want to use. So now there will be more symbols available. If you already know the size of the port, or maybe the flow rate, let's say 40 liters per minute, the port type is a BSP, and HyDraw will suggest me a G1x2. But you can select a different one, 3x4, or maybe you switch to a SA flange. And let me take a 3x4 code 61. Double click on the symbol and you place the symbol in the drawing. In terms of connection lines, we have also the possibility to make manual connection lines. So if we switch off auto connect and make a tank line, then we can make the tank line go wherever we want, like this way. And press enter to repeat the last command. And again, we can make the connection. So manual connection mode is allows you to control where the connection is going to bend. So you click and click, 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 and enter to finish the connection line. We need also a drain port for the motor. So let's select a drain port. Maybe that's a SA O-ring -6. And we place it here. And we connect the drain from here to here. And again, we connect the drain. And let's say that the drain is going directly to the tank line. We can size the ports that are already in the drawing. So as you can see, when I select an item, on the right, I can see all the attributes. And I can configure the external port. In this case, I want to stay with SA O-ring and -8. The port name can be controlled on top on the property manager. That is our B1 port. We can always use the copy command to copy size between different ports. So in this case, I want to apply the same -8 size to all the other ports. So copy, I do again, copy. Down here, it is asking the symbol, which is the source symbol. And let's say that I want now to change into -6. So the source is -6. Then it is asking to select the destination symbol. I select all the ports that I want to copy, the attribute, enter to confirm. And here I can select which attributes I want to copy. Okay, and now they all become -6. If you double click, that's a quick way to edit port names. A1, B1, A2, and B2. That's our P, pressure. And let's say that this is also a flange. Flange 3x4 code 62. We miss a relief valve. So let me go back to the search for component and look for a relief valve. So as you see, I switch between symbols and search for component just by clicking this option, minimize and maximize. Now I want to search a component, but I don't know the model code. So I will go into maybe the manufacturer, and we say that we want to stay with Parker. Of course, that I didn't say that, but in the services data access settings, you can set the default manufacturer that you want to search for. So if you uncheck them, you will not see them listed here in the big list of manufacturers. And this is the list of all the manufacturers that we have available in you in Fluid Power Tools. I see a question. Okay, I'll show you how to bring the datasheet. I see a question. So let me do here model code. I don't know the model code. The manufacturer is Parker. The component group is maybe a relief valve. The component type is I need maybe a screwing cartridge. Screwing cartridge that will be at least 40 liters per minute, and I can search. Now I have several options here available. I can take, let me sort by family. And I take this RDH 103. If you want, here you right click and you can view the datasheet. Before placing the component in the drawing, you can right click and place the component. If this is the component you need, you just double click on the symbol and place it in the drawing. And maybe this valve is set at 180 bar. And I want to flip it vertically. And I want to connect it. And I want to connect also with the tank line. Of course, we need some room here, so let me move the envelope down. And let me stretch this connection here. And also this one here. Let me bring in a small title block. So to place a title block, you go into the system and click Insert Title Block. You can select a size, A2. That's too large. Let me go back to A3. This should be fine. And just to repeat again for the datasheet, when you have placed a component and you find a component in Fluid Power Tools, you take the symbol and place the component in the drawing. When you select the component on the right, you will see the attributes linked to the component. And there will be model data. And there is also a link to the datasheet. So this link is always available, so you can select a component and open the datasheet directly from here. If you want to change component, you select the symbol, go back to the select from library. Maybe by default, HyDraw will remember the model family, so you can search the same component for the components for the same model family. If you want a different model family, maybe RDBA, Sun Hydraulics, we can search. And now for that symbol, I will find the component for the Sun Hydraulics. I should be finding, maybe I put the wrong model family, Sun Hydraulics, search. Okay, that's not good. Yes, I took a 2 to 1. So that's not a direct operated, that's a differential operated, and Sun has only from 1 to 2. So I will need to take a different valve. By the way, we can find many more components with the same circuit. Search. So in this case, I can see HyDraw Force, Comatrol, Parker, Ito, not Sun, because that has a different spool type. Maybe in this case, I want a Bosch Rexroth. Let's stay with this Bosch Rexroth valve. So I can click OK. And now the model data changed into Bosch Rexroth with the datasheet for Bosch Rexroth. Now I want to make a part list for my diagram. And before doing a part list, I need to renumber items. So now I'm going to use item ID command. So item ID command, I can select everything, start, and I can start numbering from maybe 100. So now the numbering is starting left to right from 100. I don't find it convenient for this kind of diagrams because I always want to control the numbering scheme. So in this case, I prefer to start numbering only the power unit, maybe starting from 1, and then I start numbering the manifold, maybe from 50. That's up to you. So the manifold now becomes item 50, and then there will be 51, 52, and so on. And we can move all these items up. M for move. So AutoCAD and HyDraw commands work in different ways. So if you want to move items, you don't need to run the command. You can just select first and then press M for move and select the start point and a point. And that is the same as using move and select. So there is always a dual way of doing commands or running commands in HyDraw. Now we want to make a part list. So the part list command is this one, parts. We select the entire diagram, enter, and we can define our part list format. You can create several part list format. Next, and I can edit the part list. So if you see blank space, you can type in the manufacturer, let's say Parker, always Parker. I think I copied. And so on, and you can update the information in the drawing. You can click insert to place the part list in the drawing. Part list can be moved where you want. And of course, in this case, I want to make some more room in my diagram. And we can make it. I want to fit it. I see a question regarding hose. Let me go through it. Okay, there is a question regarding a hose list, and this will be part of HyDraw 2021. So we have a webinar. So I show you what is possible now with HyDraw 2020, but there will be interesting news in terms of hose list in the newer version that is coming this spring. So in this case, I don't have any hose symbol. So what is possible is I can bring a hose assembly symbol, double click. I can place the symbol in the drawing. As you see, there is another characteristic of HyDraw. You can place the symbol directly on a connection line, and that will break the connection line into 2 segments. And this work also if you needed to place a symbol like a valve, or in this case I could place a PO check. Let's do that. Copy from here, enter, and this is breaking also the connection line. And we can copy again, and so on. We have one command that is called hose. So this command will create a hose list for only the hose assembly symbol. So hose for the entire diagram, enter, next, and this is creating the hose list. In this case, the hose list is not a listing from to. So which port is connected is the host connecting B2 to P1. This is a new functionality that will be introduced in the HyDraw CAD 2021, and I show in a couple of weeks at the end. So if you don't have yet, please sign up for next webinar on HyDraw CAD. This will be very interesting. The real change that we have in the HyDraw CAD 2021 is that we are making the hose list or pipe and tube list directly from connection line. So you don't need anymore to always place the symbol. You can just apply model data information to pipe and tube in the library, like in this case, you can search. Oh, now it went out of, okay, here, hole tube. You can select, in this case, let's say that I select a tube. And in this case, HyDraw CAD is listing a tube, a particular tube size. As of now, in HyDraw CAD 2020, you have no possibility to make a list of these pipe and tubes that you define. The newer version will have the possibility to make a list and also have the routing information. So A1 to C, B1 to R, and so on. This will be part of next webinar. Yes, there is a question. If you have updated the part list, does the change that you apply go into the symbol? So yes, let me show you. Item 2 is this one, and now I have the manufacturer part. It was not there. I make another example. Let me do again the part list, parts. I can select all. Next. Wherever you have empty places, as I said, you can put whatever you want. Let me put some random model codes. When you click update, this information will go to the corresponding symbol in the drawing. Then you can export the part list into Excel. And in previous webinar, I showed how to make a quotation directly with a part list. And or you can just insert it in the. In terms of Excel, export Excel, I remember I had a request of support recently. When you export, in previous versions, it was okay. I'm sorry. I need to repair my Excel. I know what's going on here. Now it is possible to save into XLS format or XLSX, so the newer Excel format. No, so there is a question. There are no coordinates of the hose, like 2A or 3D. No, there is no coordinate. So the hose list or pipe and tube list in next version will list which items are connected. It is not listing where the hose is physically in the drawing. If you need to quickly find items in the drawing, you go to the System tab, and there you have a list of all the items that are in the drawing in terms of external ports, components, envelopes, and you can zoom directly to the components in the drawing. So in this case, also to the hose symbols. Okay, let's say that this is our, well, let me put the part list. Insert and move it. Also, the part list will highlight that it requires an update when you do a change in the component information. So for instance, this item, you put a change in the model code, and now there will be a red text in the table. To update a part list, you select, right click, and click update part list, and this will update the part list. So you can go through each component and type in whatever you need. Let's say this model code is Mort, and the manufacturer is Siemens. Now we can update the part list, and now we see Siemens and the model code. Let's say that I want to publish my drawing. Of course, I need to save my drawing, and let me put into my HyDraw. Let me create a new folder called HyDraw CAD February, and that's my demo circuit. I use a template that is already set with a paper size, so it's very easy to plot. I do plot DWG to PDF, preview to verify that everything is okay, and right click and plot. And this is saving my my drawing, and it is opening also in PDF. If you struggle with plot, just feel free to get in touch with us. It is using really standard AutoCAD plot, but there are possibility to make it very, very efficient. So if you need help, support, just feel free to contact us, and we will be happy to explain how to efficiently plot. In my case, also I have a different plot style called line color, which is making only the connection line colored and the symbols stay black and white. So it's just a configuration you do. If you start with a good template, then things will come very, very, very efficiently and easy.